She was nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, she was nice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Any good conversations?
So far I had like a lady who knew who Yang was. She liked some of her policies. She wanted to like see how tonight goes with the caucus, and then she's just a lot of people in New Hampshire are very undecided, but she had good things to say about them. Then the others were people not home. There was this one house with a cat that was pretty scary, but I knocked on it anyways. The cat kind of like came up to me and clawed, but.
Oh, yeah. So where you grew up?
I grew up in Fort Pierce, Florida. It's a small town on the east coast of Florida, kind of like in the center. It's a pretty cool town, about like 50,000, 45,000 people. Everybody knows each other, kind of a place. I knew about Andrew Yang since I'd say late 2018, early 2019. I think I saw an interview of him on something. Then I saw an interview of him on The Breakfast Club the first time he went on there because I watched it a lot. And everything he said, like I said, I was like, like I was supporting Bernie back when he first ran. Cause I was in college, I was young, and I was just like, out of the two candidates, Bernie was my guy. And so I thought that would be the same case this round. And then I found this, because I saw all the candidates coming out, then I found this guy named Andrew Yang, and I realized how more I was like when it comes to his policies, how innovative he was in talking about the future and solutions for tomorrow and the current issues. I just felt like that was a conversation that wasn't being had. And then how he also is just not the regular person. And with me, I'm very involved in politics, but I'm not, a political science major, and I never thought I would even get into politics. You could say I'm an activist who saw a system and how I could help benefit people through it, and I just got involved. So Andrew Yang, seeing how he was just like a business guy who just seen the corrupt system and wanted to get involved, kind of I could relate to that. I believe more and more people are definitely getting to know Andrew. I believe because we're not like a billionaire campaign that, we can't get into all the states at one time. We're going to have like a very marathon, long-term, state-to-state building relationship kind of a campaign. So in that sense, there may be still a few people who may not fully know as much as they want about him, but I do believe once he touchdowns from state to state and he really gets that momentum, like he says, when he peaks at the right time, when people hear his message, I think it's going to definitely resonate and kind of catapult him up into the sphere. So really, I do believe in the whole method of, he says, with just, waiting for the right time to kind of blast off, So I do think that's possible. I talk about it all the time back home. Even a few of the elected officials back home have asked me about him and stuff like that. So he definitely has the opportunity, I think, in Florida to have a pretty strong gang. That's going to be like what I also make sure I do when I'm back home in Florida, just, promoting his policies and everything I learned up here, bringing it back. And, when they come to Florida, I'm hoping for them to come to my county, St. Lucie County, and just kind of speak to the citizens of that county. And I think it'll resonate pretty strongly as time goes on.
If you were to name two policies or two issues really resonate to you from Andrew Yang's, which are those two things?
So the first one that I really like the most, the reason why I like the UBI idea the most, because I think it helps fix generational and racial and financial gaps within all different cultures in one kind of move. It's not particularly just for Chinese Americans or Black Americans or white Americans, Irish Americans. It's just something that in one chess move I think can help impact all cultures at one time. So I really like the UBI for that idea. I'm a person, we never ask the question when we need to bail out banks. We never ask the question when we need to spend trillions of dollars on war or where the money's going to come from. So for me, I strongly believe that everyone should be on board to giving money to the American people. We give money to everything else and for everyone else, but it just seems like when we talk about giving money to the middle class and lower class American, it's like, where's the money? So I just think that's crazy. And I like how he explains how he wants to give it to everybody, so we kind of like eliminate the stigma and the stereotype behind it, so no one feels like they're doing so much for somebody else to get money. Everybody gets it no matter who you are. It's more of a right kind of a thing. So I think that's a really smart idea, because those are the small bits of a plan that I think lack sometimes. People don't think, they think about the big plan, but what are the small things that keep holes from kind of perjuring your plan? So I like him because he has a big plan, but he also has all these outer barriers just to kind of keep it pushing. So that would be the UBI, and the fact that it does come from a lot of big leaders like Martin Luther King, and he kind of took he took those ideas from that. Also, I love the human-centered capitalism concept, where we kind of weigh our success more on like the health and well-being of humans in America, and not necessarily just the stocks and the numbers. How do we weigh how good America's doing? So his whole concept of human-centered capitalism is like one I really like because I find myself to be a balanced person. I'm not too this or too that. I think we need a little bit of socialism, a little bit of capitalism, a little bit of, a little bit of, policy, progressive policies, a little bit of conservative policy. I think actually everybody in America plays a key part. So he's very unifying that, not left, not right, but forward. So that message overall is so true and positive. How the future of America kind of has to be in order to be progressive. It's fun to do this. Be in your party and represent your party. I love doing that. I love being a Democrat. I have friends who are Republicans, friends who are independent. It's the tribalism and like the negative things that happen when people get too into their party that I don't like. I think we could be in different parties, have disagreements, and still progress. And Yang is definitely that candidate who can do that. I think in 4 years of Yang would be very helpful in building bridges, in rebuilding bridges that have been burned due to the current administration.
So, what kind of a position you were working for Andrew Yang's campaign, and then what kind of experience is that?
So I was working as an organizer. So basically, our goal is to go into the communities and be on the ground and help build that grassroots kind of movement for Andrew Yang. So it's more about people who are people persons and who know how to interact with people and present your ideas and kind of help lure in the volunteers and support for Andrew Yang. So we do a lot of canvassing, a lot of phone banking, a lot of organizing of the events like the New Year's event or the Yang Hangs and the different things we do, the math classes. So we help with organizing those particular events that help kind of people get educated and trained to go out into the field. And then we also go out into the field to help pull in more people to be a part of the Yang Gang. So that's basically what I did. You just help organize the grassroots efforts part of the campaign and get people on board and through giving my own personal experience of why I love Yang and why I support these policies and being very, you got to be very influential and really make people believe what you're saying. And it's kind of like a people skill kind of a thing. So that's what I would do. And that's what I did. It was great. Because I'm running for something back home, I'm not able to stay for the entire campaign. So I knew that from the beginning I wouldn't be able to stay all the way to the general. But I really want to do my small part in being a part of this part of history. And then I'm kind of going back home because I have my own campaign to run as well. So
What are you running?
Well, I'm running for county commissioner of St. Lucie County, District 5 back home. That's where I'm from, born and raised. Fort Pierce is a part of the St. Lucie County. And so that's what I'm doing. 26 years old, running for office back home. It's definitely going to be an experience, and it's going to be something I think will not only change my life, but many others in my community who are really looking for real leadership, who is not afraid and who doesn't care about being politically correct. I just want to do things to help people. So it's a pretty interesting position. I don't know if I'm the youngest person to win, because I know Joseph Smith ran and won. And I think he was pretty young when he ran. I don't know if I'm the youngest, but we'll see. I have to check that out. But I'm definitely one of the younger people to run, and I think we have a really good chance at making history and really getting people to trusting their local governments again. So that should be interesting.
That's great. So now, I saw you today canvassing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me, have you had how's your canvassing experience? Because the place we went is very white.
Yeah.
So do you feel any sort of a butterfly, or how do you feel when you walk into those fancy driveway?
Yeah. I guess when it comes to being like an African American canvassing in a predominantly I think white American state, you do have to have certain preparations in your mind because you never know what you're gonna get because there's so many different types of people in America, and I would say the majority that I get is pretty well receptive. I've maybe had one or two iffy experiences where people may have kind of been a little more rude than they should be. But growing up where I grew up, I'm from the South. I'm from Florida, so you kind of have somewhat experienced certain things where you're kind of cautious. I mean, being from Florida alone, you see a no trespassing sign, you don't go on the lawn. Okay, Florida's not a place where you see no trespassing, that means no trespassing. So I already automatically kind of just was ready for that. But for the most part here, people are pretty welcoming, and it's usually more so about indifference of the candidates that they support than race usually. I mean, it is pretty interesting because I don't think that the New Hampshire culture is kind of forced to see too many black people all the time, but there are black people up here. So I guess it's not like an unknown, but it's something you're aware of, and you just try to, always, be safe, of course, just like anybody else would be. But I haven't had anything that's too life changing.
Yeah, speaking of being black, now I post lots of videos for Andrew Yan, lots of either interviews or stories, and then some people make comments says Andrew Yan is lacking of support from black people. What do you say?
I think that's just the lack of people having that interaction, that like how now Iowa and New Hampshire are having certain kinds of interactions with the presidential candidates that makes them feel special because everybody wants their vote right now. So I think the reason why, because he's not like a career politician that we've known for years, or he doesn't have the benefit of people like Biden, who has been by one of the biggest black figures for years. So his profile, of course, is even higher as well. And Bernie, he's been out there for a while, so he has this already kind of stable kind of thing. And you don't necessarily win the black vote just by having good policies. A lot of it also is going into those communities and making people feel like you care, which is not like he doesn't want to do it, but again, he's not like a billionaire, so he can't. We're working a real grassroots campaign. It's definitely something different, so we're definitely, I think, doing what we can with the capacity that we have. But I do believe once he starts personally having teams, and he's actually in like South Carolina, Georgia, I think, Alabama, Texas, Mississippi, when he actually gets there and goes to the right places and targets the right people, I believe the message will resonate, and you'll see his support from minority and black communities go up. But it's a thing where I think people have to see him and hear him. And a lot of people in America still haven't had that personal interaction with him. So, some of us love him just from watching him. But, some people, like I said, I believe if he makes the right connections within the black and Hispanic and minority communities, I believe he'll get the boost he needs, or begin to get the boost he needs.
He had the David Chappelle promoting him.
Yeah,
right?
You got Dave Chappelle, which is great. And I always said, like, instead of worrying about delegates, like, you're out there campaign, man. Just get influencers. Like, nowadays, influencers are everything. Influencers are like the new delegates to an extent. And what has been such an out there campaign, I like to see such outside people who don't usually get involved in politics endorsing him and supporting him. And I think it's only going to get bigger. I'm pretty sure he's going to stay to the end regardless. And I just feel like, we just need a few people to drop out so we can boost ourselves up. But he's definitely hanging in there. And I can't wait to see what he does at the next debate and after the caucus happens. I would love to see those results.
So what is your prediction of the caucus?
Of the caucus? Well, it's crazy. A lot of people are just really caring to understand what a caucus is. Like when you go in Florida, we don't have that. We just vote. It's numbers. So it's really, I think, more people, and it's great that you can see that they're explaining it a lot on CNN and stuff, what a caucus is, because a lot of people are watching this year, way more than ever before. I think this election is going to be historic in viewing, watching, and people being involved. People are not going to just sleep around. They're going to be involved in this. So I think a lot of people are just learning about really what a caucus is, and it's really like a game. When you explain to me what a caucus is, it sounds like some weird game that happens. I'm like, everybody just vote. So for me, being from Florida, we don't really have that kind of procedure. So it's hard to make a prediction because I never really paid attention to early states being, by the time it get to us, it's like the March already. So we just vote and then we wait to see. So I never had to focus so much in on Iowa and New Hampshire and stuff. After learning about what a caucus is, it's really hard to make a guess because it's not voting. It's getting however many people you get there, and you're like all like kind of like contesting each other, trying to pull someone to your side, and it's like this big game. So it's really hard to predict what's going to happen, to be honest, when you explain to me what a caucus is. It's like,
I still don't get it.
is it a chess game or something? Like, you got to, well, it's, so I'm interested in seeing the results. But I think that it's more of a long-term thing that's going to really tell us.
Yeah.
Because you can lose Iowa and you can lose in New Hampshire, but if you won Florida and Georgia, you won two bigger states, that makes up for that. So it's not who wins this one first and that one. It's really a state-by-state marathon longevity kind of a thing.
Right. Great. So how about you have been suddenly left home and did this job for 6 weeks or 7 weeks, and what are you going to tell your friend and family all this time? What in a shorter version?
Well, I really is what I have to show, because everybody's been watching, so they kind of know what's been going on. Everybody really knows what's going on. Everybody knows I work for Yang back home. There's a lot of young people back home who love Andrew Yang. Have a few things for them to surprise some of my friends. I think most people will be looking to see what I do after the experience, because anyone who knows me knows that once I have some kind of experience like this, I take from it and I try to use it back home in my own community. So I'm ready definitely to answer any questions and help to organize the Yang Gang back home. And I'm pretty sure I will have questions. When I get back on Friday, I have to go to my old high school at Fort Pierce Westwood High School. So I'll be going there to speak to the senior class, and I'm pretty sure they're going to ask questions about how was it to work on a presidential campaign. And I talk to my family and stuff every day, so they kind of already they already know what's going on with me up here. And like I said, I'm a pretty big on my social media, especially with like people who are from my hometown. So it's kind of like they're here with me in a way. So really, I think it's more of just like people are wanting for not only me, but it's a time in where I'm from where like it's a lot of reconstruction and a lot of like opportunities happening. So I think most people are just anxious for the young people of my community to come back and just show and use what they've learned to help the community kind of a thing. So I honestly don't know I'm coming back to a whole campaign, so I really don't know what to expect. The last time I ran, it changed my life. It really did.
Oh, you ran already?
Yeah, last time I ran for city commission, so now I'm running for county commissions, which is a bigger position, which I know maybe it's like, oh, you didn't win the city commission, what makes you think you can win the county? I just know that it's possible because of the fact that I've had no real connections or experience in running for office, and me and my 3 friends from high school just got together and put our name in the hat, and we almost got 40% of the vote within like 2.5-3 months of campaigning, something we've never done before. I think if we can get almost 40% of the vote in our town for one district within 2.5-3 months of just figuring it out, man, and everything I've learned now, because it's been almost a year and a half now, so everything I learned now, I'm more involved. I hold a couple of positions, so I've been able to really get understanding about how the political network and everything works, and I have support, tons of support. And when I ran, so many people supported me who wasn't even able to vote for me. And so I know that to a lot, also, I don't think it seems like a long shot for me, because people want this. They want young people to start stepping up. So for me, it's just, run your race. Someone told me once before to run your race and just stay focused. So literally when I get back, I'm going to be doing for Andrew what I was doing for myself, what I was doing for Andrew, which is knocking on doors and canvassing and going to the churches, going to all the different events, and giving people the opportunity to meet me in person and earn everybody's votes.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Do you have anything you want to add on?
I'm just excited. I'm so ready to go back to Florida and come back home and pick up from where I started. I'm excited to fail, because you have to fail in order to succeed. So I never fear failure. Every time I lose or every time I fail, there's a lesson in that that's so much more valuable than if I would have just won. So for me, I can't wait to get back and take what I've learned from my last 1.5 to 2 years, all the connections I've made and all the knowledge I've gained, and to like really do some stuff that's going to help kind of move my hometown, my county forward. And the goal is hopefully for young people to see what I've done and know that they too can do it. And it's not something that's this magical, mysterious thing that you got to wait till you're like, you know, well beyond your years to do. You can do it now and make a pretty big impact and a pretty big change. And the great thing is that we have a great community. There's a lot of elders and like people from other generations, older generations, who do support young people. So I think it's going to be a beautiful thing for everyone to see by the end of this campaign of how everybody comes together from all backgrounds for this one cause.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Bravo.